Good morning and welcome to the USC School of Policy, Planning and Development Dean's State of the School Address. My name is Kevin McCarthy and I chair the Leadership Council for the Athenian Society. And on behalf of the Dean, the school, and the Athenian Society, I wish to welcome everyone here this morning. The Athenian Society is the school's premier charitable support group. All members receive numerous benefits and access to SPPD. Since its creation a little over 3 years ago, the Athenian Society has grown to over 110 members, consisting of alumni, parents, staff, and friends of the school. Those individuals who are Athenian members are positively impacting the school. Some of the ways that are doing this include providing funds to help create new courses, keeping the school's professional curriculum vital and current, providing aid and support to deserving students, and supporting new initiatives and career services to help our graduating seniors find world-class jobs. And of course, supporting Dean Knott in funding new initiatives to help keep our school ranked in the top 10 in the country. There's much more that we can do with your help. If you'd like to learn more about the Athenian Society, please see one of the Leadership Council members, Scott Jacobson or myself, and we'd be happy to talk to you about the Athenian Society. Everyone in attendance this morning represents the school's closest friends and advocates. SPPD is where it is today because of all of your support, both advisory and financial. SPPD has grown to become one of the top 10 schools of its kind in the country as a result of the vision and leadership of its faculty, staff, and alumni, and the vision of our Dean, Jack Knott. Jack has been our Dean since 2005 because of his vision and leadership, was reappointed by the university to serve as Dean through 2015. Dean Knott has been instrumental in raising our school's prominence nationally, both in scholarship and in research. He's a leading academic expert in the fields of political institutions, public management, and public policy. And Dean Knott has been a great supporter of the Athenian Society, and we thank him for his efforts in advancing our school's prominence nationally. Once again, thank you for your attendance this morning, and I'd like to introduce our Dean, Jack Knott. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. Good morning, everyone. I learned just a moment ago that we're meeting in the ladies' dining room. Did you know that? I guess the people only over a certain maturity would understand that comment. It says something not particularly good about the California Club, but times change. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to the Athenian Society members, our faculty and friends of the school. This has become a real important annual tradition for the school, and it's a great opportunity to share with each other what the school, and celebrate what the school has accomplished over this past year. What I'd like to do is list and discuss some of those accomplishments, as well as talk about some of the areas that we'd like to invest in the future. Former USC President Sample had the habit of telling a little story when he started a talk. Now, that's not the normal approach that I take, but I thought since this is early morning and some of us are still waking up, this might get us going. And you know, I'm going to give a little quiz on the points that I'm giving, so it helps if you stay awake. I'm just kidding on that last point. But one of the policy issues I'm going to be talking about is the American economy, including here in Southern California. And I'm also going to touch on the governance challenges, especially the problems of public finance in the United States with our large public deficits. So an article published recently in the St. Petersburg Times business section caught my attention. The newspaper asked readers for ideas on how would you fix the economy. One response came from this 80-year-old fellow. He wrote, "Dear Mr. President, please find below my suggestions for fixing America's economy. Instead of giving billions of dollars to companies that will squander the money on lavish parties and unearned bonuses, use the following plan. You can call it the Patriotic Retirement Plan. There are about 40 million people over 50 in the workforce. Pay them $1 million severance for early retirement with the following stipulation. They must retire. That means 40 million job openings, thereby fixing the unemployment problem. They must buy a new American car, therefore 40 million cars purchased, fixing the auto industry. They must either buy a house or pay off their mortgage, thereby fixing the housing crisis. Can't get any easier than that, right? Now, if more money is needed, Congress might consider retiring itself on Social Security and Medicare, and we suspect that that might lead to quick changes in those programs as well. Well, it's a cute little story, I think, but reflective of our times indeed. I only wish policy was that easy. Indeed, the regional, state, and national economy and the policy and governance decisions which drive it are the stuff that we research and that we teach, preparing our students to shape a better world. We are about the policies that affect the financing of social policy, housing, entitlements, taxation, transportation, governance systems, and economic development. Now, with commencement last Friday, we graduated our newest alumni who join our school's 16,000 alumni worldwide. In addition to the USC university-wide celebration, SBPD also held undergraduate and graduate ceremonies, and these were attended by about 4,000 family, friends, and parents. And each ceremony really was a wonderful event. We also gained national news coverage on ABC Nightly News and on Good Morning America. It's the first time I've ever been on national news. I happened to be a backdrop, but that was all right. And this occurred because of the graduation of Carmen Gomez, who is an SBPD employee whose son Alan also graduated from SBPD on the same day. It was a most touching moment for the Gomez family, mother and son, and for all of us in the Trojan family and in the SBPD family. Our graduates included 200 undergraduate students getting their Bachelor's of Science degree, about 400 graduates getting our core master's degree, and another 100 from our executive master's degree programs. And we also graduated 12 PhD students and 5 students getting our professional doctoral degree in policy planning and development. It was a marvelous day for the school and for the university. Our graduates represented around 15 countries in about 30 different states, so it was a very diverse group. I also know that you've heard about the coming USC Development Campaign. Our new president, Max Nikias, has brought incredible energy to our fundraising, as witnessed by the historic gifts to the USC College, to the College of Medicine, to student scholarships, and to the new Student Health Center. And this fall, President Nikias will announce a new decade-long $6 billion campaign effort to fund his vision and all of our vision for USC. To use a football analogy, we started kind of in midfield under President Sample and moved down to the 10-yard line. But to get into the end zone, to achieve truly undisputed elite status as a university on par with universities like Stanford and Harvard and other top universities, is going to take a much greater effort. In particular, require larger endowments for our students, our faculty, our academic programs, our centers, and our schools in order to compete with these institutions. Indeed, SBPD will be part of this larger campaign and a major important part of it. But first, let me talk a little bit of our accomplishments this year and then give you some thoughts on where we are headed in the year to come. This year, in particular, saw a major effort to improve, revise, and create new academic programs from the undergraduate to the graduate level. And we have several people to thank for that, but I especially want to thank my Vice Dean, Elizabeth Grady, who led many of these efforts with the program directors and faculty. These revisions give us very attractive tracks and more state-of-the-art curriculum. With the advance in knowledge and skills, we want to stay ahead of the curve and provide the students with the best education in the world. So let me begin with our new undergraduate program, the new Bachelor of Science in Policy Planning and Development. We've revised and added completely new tracks. We have a new track in nonprofits and philanthropy. We have a track in public policy and law. We also revised the planning track into a sustainable planning track, and we have a health policy and management and real estate development tracks as well. Our new undergraduate program combines rigorous core courses in specific fields combined with interdisciplinary subjects across professional fields. This gives students a strong grounding in in-depth understanding of their chosen area, but also a broad perspective in related areas. And students also gain the quantitative skills and specialized kinds of knowledge that they need to succeed in today's professions. So I'm very proud of this undergraduate program. I think it's just the right kind of program for today, with its more rigorous, in-depth concentration and its opportunity to then take courses abroad across a number of different areas, which is needed at the undergraduate level. We've also launched this year 2 new PhD programs that replace the PhD in Policy Planning and Development. Now, the goal here was to strengthen the in-depth methods and rigorous core courses in 2 fields rather than have this spread across an interdisciplinary area. So we've created 2 new PhD programs, one in public policy and management and one in urban planning and development. And we want our students to be trained in those 2 fields to be able to get jobs in the very top universities in the country. At the more advanced coursework, students are then able to take electives in other schools or take courses in other programs within our schools. So they have that interdisciplinary option as well. But our goal is to train students, and we get, I should mention, our students coming into our PhD program, I think I'm correct, have the highest GRE scores of any PhD students at USC. And I love to say that because they're higher than the School of Engineering. And when Max is in the room, I especially like to say it. We want to be the leaders in shaping these respective fields, giving SBPD and USC the reputation for advancing knowledge in these disciplines. Third, we substantially revised the Master of Health Administration program. This field in particular has become more technical and complex, with requirements for information technology, financial management, and evaluation of health outcomes, as well as medical practices. And I'm pleased that we have our new director here, Mike Nickel, who led this effort in a really great way. In addition, the accreditation body for our health administration program requires us to demonstrate 15 competencies to show that students actually have learned the skills and have gained the knowledge needed for leadership in this field. So we've built a curriculum around key areas which will be health system priorities for the foreseeable future: management operations, health policy analysis, health finance, quality of care, and health information technology. And we emphasize those 5 areas, critical areas, to training people to be leaders in the health management and policy area. Fourth, continuing in our legacy of innovation, SBPD is the first among the top-ranked Master of Public Administration degree programs in the country to offer its signature degree online. Other top programs we are discovering are quickly following. We have contracted with a private company, Endowment, to assist us in this major development of our school. The online MPA students will have access to the same quality faculty and the same quality curriculum as our on-the-ground students. Based on market analysis, we are anticipating about 80 new Masters of Public Administration students over the course of this coming year. And over the course of the next few years, we expect that to grow into a few hundred new students just in that program. And our next major online initiative will be to launch our Executive Master of Health Administration as an online program, and that will occur in the fall of 2012. These online degrees follow the initiative of Max Nikias when he was provost and continued as president to make USC degrees more accessible to people who have quality from around the world. This has also been a year of amazing faculty recruitments, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of them. One of those amazing recruitments is Dan McFadden. He's a Nobel Prize-winning economist from UC Berkeley. He's joined USC with SPPD as his primary home. He will work with the USC Shaffer Center on health policy and economics as his primary activity. He's one of the most well-known economists in the world, and he's going to be a tremendous addition to our school. Dana Gioia, former director of the National Endowment for the Arts, has joined USC. And he has joint appointments in the Thornton School of Music and SPPD as well. And one of the activities that he's committed to is to helping our school develop a joint master's degree with the Thornton School in arts management and leadership. So that's a very exciting development, and he's excited about participating in this. We also hired, which I just learned yesterday, he accepted yesterday, Marlon Bornett, who from the University of California, Irvine. He's a major scholar in urban planning, and he will join us next January and become the new director of our graduate urban planning program. So we're really excited about him joining us as well. And we also had a junior hire this year. We hired Mark Phillips, who is in the area of public finance with a focus on government and national finances and taxation. And he has a PhD from the University of Chicago in economics with a concentration in public finance and an undergraduate degree from Princeton University concentrating in economics. One of the, I think, young stars in this field. So it's been just an amazing year for hiring outstanding new people. We've also continued to expand our international presence. Our goal is to find strategic partners to help us in collaborative research and student and faculty exchanges, as well as internships and student recruitment. This year we signed an MOU with the state of Gujarat in India to establish a long-term institutional partnership in education and research focused on transportation, infrastructure, and urban planning. India is a huge, major potential new market for us, and this is a very significant relationship that I think will lead to more students, more research dollars, and relationships in the future. We also signed an agreement with the Hertie School of Governance in Germany, in Berlin, Germany. This is a new school that is very much like the London School of Economics in London. They also actually have a joint degree with the London School of Economics, and they have chosen just a small number of universities and schools like ours in the US to be partners with. We're one of those. And we're going to do student and faculty exchanges. We're going to start just with a couple a year, but it's a great new opportunity for our students to be in this amazing capital city that sort of straddles the east and the west, and it has a great urban planning as well as public policy activities there. So we're very pleased with that as well. This adds to our growing international reach, to our existing international collaborations with the World Bank, Beijing University School of Government, the Chinese Academy of Urban Planning Design, the Korean Institute of Public Administration, and the Brazilian School of Public Administration and Management in Rio de Janeiro. So we are creating a network of strategic partnerships that give us a truly global set of relationships. I also want to mention a few specific milestones and awards achieved this year. I'm very proud, first of all, and extremely proud that the urban planning program in our school was ranked by the National Guide Planetizen, which is the definitive national guide, as number 7 in the country, up from number 9 prior, and also leapfrogged over that other university on the west side of the city. So we're very proud of that. And with the arrival of Marlon Bornett as our new director. He and I and the school are committed to putting us in the top 5, and I think that's a very realistic goal in the near future. We also achieved a $1 million fundraising milestone to establish the Chester Newland Professorship at the State Capitol Center in Sacramento. Thanks to our good friend Sterling Franklin and many others in this room. I'm also very proud of this accomplishment. Chester Newland, Chet Newland, is an icon in the public administration field, and be able to have a endowed professorship in his honor in perpetuity is a great way to show his significance in the field and for others to carry on that honor over many, many generations. Professor Terry Cooper was inducted into to be a fellow in the National Academy of Public Administration, which is the 3rd year in a row that we've had someone from the school as a new Academy member. So we're on a roll when it comes to the National Academy. And I also want to mention that Professor Juliet Musso was elected to the Policy Council of the American Association of Public Policy and Management, which continues our leadership in these the most important national policy association. And Gary Painter was elected as Vice President and President-elect of the American Real Estate and Urban Economics Association. So he'll be president of that association next year. So I congratulate our colleagues. Gary's sitting right over here, and I don't know if Juliet's here, but this keeps our tradition of strong leadership in these national associations. Our centers also hosted speakers and conferences, among them a remarkable conference that was a partnership between SPPD and the Bedrosian Center with the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation. It was a 2-day symposium on the event of Ronald Reagan's centennial, which looked at the life and legacy of President Reagan. This superb academic event was capped off by a panel featuring news anchor Tom Brokaw at the Reagan Library, attended by over 1,000 people. And it was covered on NBC, C-SPAN, and several newspapers, and I know many of you attended. So that was a highlight for the year. And I want to thank Dick DeBakis for initially suggesting this and getting this underway. So this was one of a highlight for me for the year in terms of events. But we also had so many others. There's too many for the students and the faculty to even attend. One that I particularly enjoyed was the Shaffer Center National Conference on Health Policy and the Economy, which brought the most prominent government, business, industry, and academics together, and it's the first annual inaugural conference of the Shaffer Center. And just last week, the Center on Philanthropy and Public Policy had its distinguished speaker, Michelle Rhee, who is the president of Students First and former superintendent of schools in Washington, D.C., who's a leading national advocate for school reform. And she was just a remarkable speaker and a great event, bringing together the philanthropic foundation and business community in Los Angeles. This finally was a year of exceptional student work. This master's students, the projects this year included climate change in Vietnam for the World Bank, attracting high-quality teachers to low-income neighborhoods for RAND, low-income home ownership for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and many other projects. I was also proud that Bob Myrtle and his students did a strategic plan for a school district in the LA region, and the district was so pleased with what the students had done that they hired the students as a consulting team following the project. In addition, one of our doctoral students dissertation has been turned into a PBS documentary. Student Imran Farouk, doctoral student, used a green approach to solving the foreclosure crisis in San Bernardino, and this is being made into a PBS documentary. So just some examples of the outstanding work that our students are doing this year. So now let me turn to the future and where we are headed. In discussions with the faculty, board of counselors, and students, we have had discussions about what I might call sustainable futures. Strategies for improving the governance, social equity and justice, protecting the environment, and getting our economy and society growing again and able to compete in a global environment. Universities are particularly suitable to this kind of longer-term thinking because we are removed from the direct pressures of political and economic activity where next quarter's profits or the next election drive decision-making. This also allows us to challenge conventional wisdom in ways that people in the fray may not be able to do in order to produce more innovative solutions. With this overarching theme in mind, we have identified 3 areas which I'd like to discuss. There are others in the school, but given time, I'm going to limit it just to 3. And I would like to highlight these today. The first area has to do with health policy and management. And this is something that we started 2 years ago, but I want to highlight it because it's a model, I think, of what we can do in some of the other areas of the school. And so I want to say a little bit about that because it's the way forward in many other areas of the school as well. 2 years ago, we started with this policy area, health policy and management, which was good at SPPD, but we wanted to make it great. You only have to read the headlines to know how important this policy area is. In terms of the uninsured, in terms of the dramatic costs, which are unsustainable, the budget deficits, the size of the health sector and the economy, not to mention that it's a major source of growth for jobs. And we intend to be a major player in this area. Through 2 generous gifts from donors, we were able to transform this part of the school, combined with hard work and strategic thinking and involvement of the faculty. The endowment gift from John Bedrosian and Dick Emer created the Norman Topping Chair in Medicine and Health Policy, which allowed us to attract Dana Goldman to come leave the RAND Corporation and come to our school. He was the director of the Health Policy Division at RAND and is considered one of the top 5 health economists in the country. We couldn't have got him without that gift. We also formed a partnership with the School of Pharmacy, which allows us to recruit 3 more faculty to our 2 schools, including Darius Lakdawalla to SPPD. Again, one of the very top health economists in the country. Second, an initial operating gift from Leonard Shaffer has allowed us to establish the Shaffer Center on Health Policy and Economics. This center has taken off in dramatic fashion and given us huge national visibility in just 2 years. It has also helped us as a school surpass $35 million in external funding for this past year. We also hired Professor Mike Nickel, who I mentioned earlier, to head our Master of Health Administration program, which has seen a 30% increase in applications. In addition, we've established a joint master's degree program with the Viterbi School of Engineering in Health Systems and Operations, and as mentioned, also revised our new undergraduate degree with a sequence in health. And we want to continue to invest in this area. As part of our school's campaign, I'm looking for support for an endowed chair in health management to recruit a star in this field. We're looking for endowed fellowships to engage the best students and endowed funds to undertake important research. This kind of growth, this kind of rise in visibility and traction of star people is the kind of thing we can do throughout the school when we come together and we identify strategic priority and we invest. And that's the model that we can pursue elsewhere. Second area that I'd like to highlight it concerns 2 aspects of governance. First is a major transformational investment in public finance and economic policy. We face unsustainable budget deficits and ballooning national debt, with continued pressure on state and local governments. These crises are expected to exacerbate in the next few years with the demographic changes facing the country, the retirement of the baby boom, and the looming entitlement and pension obligations. In addition to these issues, our society needs greater public-private investment in education, transportation, and infrastructure to keep us moving forward. This all leads to the need for innovative thinking in public finance, with USC taking the lead. Now, we have appointed Mark Phillips, I mentioned, a junior person right out of University of Chicago, as a tenure-track faculty member. But an urgent need for us in this area, and one that will help galvanize us to be a leader in this area, is to recruit a star faculty member to come lead our effort, possibly with the Keston Institute, or to create a new center which will make an impact on the region, the state, and the nation, the same way that we have done in the area of health. The second aspect of governance is quality public service. This is not a popular topic today. There tend to be complaints. But let me talk about this for a moment. We are not going to have a vibrant, growing economy without public and nonprofit officials who are of the highest quality, with leadership skills, who know public finance, who know how to do public-private partnerships, who know how to deal with complex service delivery networks, who know how to do private contracting and the other tools of modern service. We also need officials who are honest and not corrupt and hold professional ethics in high regard. And this is something that helped found our school and should still define our school. The federal government faces huge domestic and foreign policy issues, which require talented, highly trained managers and policy analysts. Unfortunately, the current federal system for hiring graduate students is broken. It cannot hire, in my view, the people with the necessary skills to meet these challenges. Consequently, I have spent a lot of time over the past 2 years working with the National Association of Schools of Public Affairs to reform the way the federal government hires graduate students. Hopefully, the recently issued presidential executive order called the Student Pathways Program, which is based almost entirely on our ideas and on our efforts, will make a big difference in the future as this is being implemented. We also want to expand our executive education for state and local government and nonprofit officials in a substantial way. We want to compete with the UC Berkeley Executive Seminar, which is held in the summer, and be the place for training of officials in Southern California and eventually the country and from other countries. This is a real critical need for our school to become more actively involved in this continuing education, executive education, with people across the sectors who are interested in public service, both here and in other parts of the country. And we also want to recruit the best and the brightest, as we have done for more than 80 years, to public service. And that will take scholarships and fellowships. Most of these people don't earn big salaries when they get out, yet USC is very expensive. And so in this area in particular, we need help. And we want to provide these young people with the education that will equip them to confront the issues of the mid-21st century. And that will take endowments to retain our best young faculty and encourage faculty, prominent faculty, to come here. The third area I'd like to highlight is investment in urban economic development. You know, Los Angeles and many other cities have been hemorrhaging jobs. Los Angeles has grown substantially in population in the past 20 years, but it has fewer jobs than it did 20 years ago. This is not sustainable. Many cities also have faced significant hurdles in building the necessary housing, infrastructure, business facilities, and transportation to keep our economy moving. One of the major problems is the myriad of regulations and business development unfriendly policies that add delays, reviews, reports, making investment unprofitable. The motivations for these regulations are often admirable and positive, but the implementation can lead to oppositional tactics and abusive lawsuits detrimental to neighborhoods and communities. So let me give you an example. A few weeks ago, we had an Athenian Society event in Santa Monica, excuse me, at the new Santa Monica Place. the new Santa Monica Place Shopping Plaza. Some of you were there. It was very revealing how Macerich Corporation and the Santa Monica City manager agreed on the importance of collaboration between the city, the company, and the community for the success of this project. In advance, the city had gotten environmental and other entitlement approvals for not only this specific site, but for a master plan for the surrounding area. In addition, recognizing the criticality of this project for the future of the downtown, the city set up an interagency task force to expedite approvals and regulations in order to meet a fast approaching deadline of opening on time and within budget in September 2010, and they achieved that goal. Both the CEO of Macerich and the city manager spoke of the importance of policymakers, planners, and developers working together for the good of the community, and it is a great example of that. The CEO of Macerich said that the Bloomingdale's is one of the highest per square foot retail places that Bloomingdale's has in the country. And the same is true for that small Nordstrom's. They were a little worried about it. It's doing extremely well. And so this is an example of where you get these groups working together, you solve the issues, and you're able to do really great things. A second example comes from the recent Sunday article in the LA Times on making things in the US, or why we can't seem to do it anymore. The article focuses on the difficulty of manufacturing anything in the US, in part because of the cost of labor and materials, but also due to the many bureaucratic regulations on land use and equipment that prevent a timely investment. One major exception is in Albany, upstate Albany, New York, where the city is working with the innovative College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering at the University of Albany. This partnership has brought over 3,000 jobs to this community and the investment of high-tech industry. It's an amazing success in an area that very few people thought had much future. But according to participants, the effort involves a government and private enterprise partnership that worked because of the following. Quote, the state cleared the path for permits and other red tape that often slow down and raise the cost of new industrial buildings and equipment. This can save millions of dollars in depreciation costs and enable companies to seize moments of rising demand, unquote. We want to develop a revised curriculum and research agenda in our school that is focused on economic development, pulling together on our strengths in public management, public policy, real estate development, and urban planning. We want to teach our policy and planning students the dynamics of the market. That's very important, that people in government understand how the market works. And we want to teach our real estate students about public purposes and how to make the two sides work together better. Two specific research and outreach investments focus on infrastructure and transportation, where public-private partnerships are the keys to a sustainable future. We're already doing much of this in the Keston Institute and especially in the Metran Center. And our Senior Associate Vice Dean, Jen Giuliano, is here, Director of the Metran Center. It's a very important focus for getting the private and public sides to work together. And second is our new Center on Sustainable Cities, which addresses not just green development, but workable green development that supports the needs of the private market as well. So I list these three areas of investment and quickly note that our campaign will touch on other areas as well. And one of them that I didn't mention, but I'm going to talk a lot about in the future, is social policy, but I only had so much time. But we are seeking to grow and improve in these areas. We're also seeking to make a very significant investment in our undergraduate program. Our international initiative is another very important area for the school. And we desire to build and endow some of our centers that aren't endowed currently, such as the Center on Philanthropy and Public Policy. We want to make them stronger and allow them to have an even greater impact. In conclusion, I would like to take a moment to thank you for the many contributions to our school that makes these kinds of accomplishments over this past year possible. None of this really would have happened without the amazing efforts of people in this room. And I mean faculty, staff, donors, parents, and alumni. A special thanks to each and every one of you. We couldn't do this at all without all of us working together. You are also critical partners in the investment in the future. The past was a great year, but the future is going to be even more exciting. And we want to make our school great in key areas of importance to our students and the country. So let me finish by coming back to the idea of sustainable futures. USC Provost Elizabeth Garrett, in a recent speech, quoted Bernard Baruch, financier and statesman who served as senior advisor to Presidents Wilson, Roosevelt, and Truman during the difficult times of war and recession. He said about the future, and I quote, "I believe above all else in reason, in the power of the human mind to cope with the problems of life. To nothing so much as the abandonment of reason does humanity owe its sorrows. I still believe that with courage and intelligence we can make the future bright with fulfillment. Indeed, I have an optimistic belief in the future when I see our students with their energy, intelligence, and hope. Through our education, research, and intellect, we strive to make a positive impacts in our fields of study and help shape the world for the better. And I'm sure you will agree that now more than ever before, it is vital to find lasting solutions to some of society's biggest problems and also to develop exciting new opportunities for the future. At our school, SBPD, through our intellect and through our education, this is fundamentally what we strive to achieve. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Thank you for being a part of the policy school that is becoming the best in the country. Fight on. We have time for a few questions, if there are any.
Well, thank you, Dean Knott. This has been a great review of the school, and I think we're all real proud of what everyone's accomplished. And was really pleased with what you articulated as your points of the future. And one that piqued my interest, there are quite a few, but one that piqued my interest I wanted to ask if you could expand a little bit about was your statement about public finance and the need for innovative thinking in public finance, and how you'd like to set up a chair for that. Can you expand a little bit and share some of your vision on what that might be?
Yes. One of the areas that I feel our school does not have enough strength in is this area of public finance. It's so important, not only when you look at pensions, for example, or tax policy, but it's important in health. It's the big issue is how to finance it, or one of the big issues. It's important in real estate. I mean, the whole financial crisis is around finance. The whole housing crisis is around finance. So it's something that reaches across the areas of the school, and we just do not have the kind of concentration of expertise in that area that I think we need. There are two dimensions that I think I referred to, and one of those is there's more that the country can be doing in public-private approaches to financing infrastructure, schools, transportation, etc. We lag behind other countries, some other countries in this regard. And I think that having somebody who focuses on that, who understands the nature of that, possibly somebody jointly appointed with the Marshall School of Business is a possibility, I think would greatly enhance our ability to grapple with that whole area. And then the other is, there's all this debate about what should the state do? What should the county do? How should we come to a situation where we're in a more sustainable financial situation? Our school has very little to say about that at the moment. We're not in the news. We're not commentating. We're not contributing to the public debate, I think, the way we ought to be, and we're not contributing to the scholarly research in this area. And almost every issue today is framed by these concerns. And so it's hard to get to specific, it's hard to find other solutions until you can frame it in terms of this particular solution. So I feel, and the faculty, actually we had a faculty discussion of this, the whole faculty, Last year we had a retreat. I tried to identify some areas in which we thought the school ought to make a big investment. And there was, I think, a general consensus that this area was the most important area for us to do that. So I heartily concur with that, and I'm really hoping that we're going to be able to come together with the resources. This takes like with the health area, it takes upfront investment. I think the payoffs will be big, but you got to have that upfront investment to make it work. Other questions? Okay. Sterling?
You say the president's going to announce the $6 billion fundraising campaign over the next 10 years. I think this coming September. What will be the school's piece of that?
Yeah, it takes my breath away a little bit, so I'll have to pause a moment. Each school has been allocated a target, and our target is $150 million. Now, there's one major component to that is an endowment for the school. That's probably our highest, not probably, it is our highest priority. We have endowments. They tend to be in specific centers or for specific chairs, for specific scholarship funds and so on, but we don't have a core endowment for the school. And if we're going to be able to make these kinds of strategic investments over time and be able to compete with the other major schools in the country, we have to have a much, much bigger core endowment. We don't even have a core endowment. We need to have a core endowment. And so that's the biggest chunk out of that. And it also, I was real pleased when we were on ABC Nightly News. They actually got the name of the school right. They called us the School of Policy, Planning, and Development. That's the first time I've ever heard that. Normally they say the School of Planning, what was that again? They don't remember. We have the most forgettable name of any school at USC. I have members of the Board of Trustees who know me, who've heard presentations on the school. They couldn't tell me what the name of the school is if I asked. Isn't this true, Dick? Yes, this is true. So in addition to the financial benefit of this for strategic investment, it's hugely important for branding and identity. We need a name, Annenberg, Marshall, Thornton. We need something like that, and we need it really badly, because if we had that and we could focus on branding and marketing us, it would make a huge difference. So that's the major part.
What's the price tag for naming the school? Check my pockets.
Well, this is set by a market like everything else. I hate to say this, but the school on the other side of the city was named just a few months ago at a $50 million level. So I got an email from Al Cecchio, our Senior Vice President for Advancement, about 3 hours after that announcement came out. And the email said, well, now we know the minimum price. So it has, I don't think the university, given the scale of the school, the number of centers, the number of students, the global reach that we have, somebody's going to get a school that is known around the world, that has a worldwide alumni, that is one of the very top prestigious schools in the professions. It's not going to be a name that will be here in LA. It will be a global name. And so I think it's a great opportunity for somebody to really make a huge impact. We're not, you can give money to a department in the med school or something, fine, that's important. But if you want to make an impact in a whole school in a way that would transform something, this is it. It would be transformative. All right. Okay, well, thank you all very much for coming, and thank you for the support of the school and for your friendship and collegiality. I really appreciate it. Thank you.